Welcome back to Local 4 News Over Coffee, everyone. I'm Local 4 News Director Mike Mickles. So happy that you can join us today, and we've been talking about a lot of things that are going on in the city of Moline. Now it's time to talk about law enforcement, some of the crime that's been happening. 2020 has presented its challenges for law enforcement agencies around the area. I have Chief Darren Galt with us right now. Chief, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You guys haven't had any trouble staying busy, have you?
No, we've had a very challenging year, just like our community.
You know, there's also been a couple of big breaks that I really want to talk about as we're talking about crime and the impact that it has, it's had in our community. There's also been a couple of things that we especially want to talk about, and some of the cases that there have been breaks in. Trudy Appleby. I remember just being new to the market and being a young reporter here, and clearly I'm not that now. It took a long time, but talk to me about the break that you had in that case.
Yeah, well, recently we named two suspects, Jamison Fisher and David Whipple, that are persons of interest in that case, and we're still working that very diligently. One thing that I think the community knows about the Moline Police Department is that we don't give up on any of the cases that we have. And that case has been going on, as you mentioned, for a long time, and we'll continue to pursue those leads, and we rely on our community members to give us those tips that we need to continue to further that. And no tip is too small, no nugget is too small, and so we still need to stay connected with our community to bring justice to that case.
Well, another one that is amazing, and I can remember that from many years ago, Baby April. Talk to me about that development.
Yeah, very sad situation. In the mid-90s, the Quad Cities as a whole had a very tragic situation where several infants were cast aside and murdered. And so we had one that recently we solved, known as Baby April, through the use of DNA technology. We partnered with Parabon Nanolabs in Virginia to analyze some DNA evidence that we had from that case, and we're able to get a suspect and ultimately make an arrest in that case.
Modern technology is amazing, isn't it?
It's very important to us in law enforcement, especially in these days. And one lesson from that is that we don't know what the future holds. And we'll continue to pursue those advancements in technology, and in this case DNA that was revolutionary, completely different today than it was in the 90s, that enabled us to pursue that. And I'm very fortunate to work for a city that's committed to supporting the police department. I asked for some additional funds from our council that supported that enabled us to partner with a private lab. Without that funding, we wouldn't have been able to pursue that.
So let's talk about police support for a moment, because there have been some developments with the Illinois legislature and talk of police reform. Their decisions, how is that going to impact you and your department?
Well, I think it'll be challenging. We're up for the challenge, no doubt. I mean, I want the community to know that just because there's some changes and dramatic changes in the criminal justice system, the Moline Police Department will still be here for them on all of our shifts, and our detectives and our support staff, dedicated public servants that come in every day. But I am disappointed in the lawmakers that didn't partner with our chiefs and sheriffs in the state, throughout the state, our municipalities, to understand how that would drastically impact them. And I understand that modernization is important. We're committed to that. Moline has been the leader in those areas, for example, investing over $700,000 in body cameras that we've had for a couple of years now. And so we're already light years ahead of what the legislature put in yesterday. Would not require us to have those until 2025, and we're already well on our way with that, actually our second generation body cameras. So I'm proud to work in a city that leads from the front, and we'll continue to do that.
And I have to say too that you guys also work very closely with the surrounding departments when needed.
Absolutely. We're very close-knit law enforcement family. In fact, one of the things that was brought up yesterday in the law was a standardization of use of force. The Quad Cities as a whole has had standardization of use of force policies for quite some time, many years. And so we'll continue to collaborate with our law enforcement partners to make sure we're using our best practices in our community to serve our citizens for both a just resolution for victims, as well as to treat suspects or offenders in crimes with dignity and respect.
We certainly appreciate what you and your department is doing to keep our city safe. We also have, of course, Mayor Stephanie Acree. She's sitting over here listening to this. What do you have to say about this gentleman and your police department?
So I think that it is easy to recognize the way that our police department has navigated the challenges of this year. that they provide excellent service to our community. And I have a lot of faith that through Chief Galt's excellent leadership and his department's excellence, that the challenges of today and the challenges of tomorrow will be addressed in the same way. I have a lot of confidence in their ability and their devotion to just law enforcement in the community.
I believe that as well. Thank you both so much. We're not finished. We have more Local 4 news over coffee coming up after a break.